Welcome everybody from beautiful Tokyo, Japan. Yes, I am in fact actually there. However, tonight we are having a bit of an update on the progress with the Sephirot portion of Franz Bardon's Kabbalah. So, just so everybody knows, I, along with my private practice group, finished our upward trajectory, or the path of enlightenment, involving the use of the Sephirot. And the long and the short of it is, it basically results in the ability to consciously and intentionally project yourself completely into non-dual light. So the thing that we suspected was going to be a part of this is in fact actually a part of it. So that was pretty nice. So for those of you who haven't been following this, basically what you end up learning to have to do is establishing equilibrium at the vital level using all 27 letters, then establishing equilibrium at an astral or energetic or sensation level utilizing the 12 planetary forces, which include the outer planets, as well as the extrasolar region. Then you learn how to establish equilibrium at the mental level using all of the forces of the zodiac. And then finally, you create equilibrium at the Akashic level utilizing all 10 of the Sephirot, which actually end up being 12 forces by the time you include in Doth and Sirius, which is part of that meditation as well. So, what did we learn on the upward part of the path? Well, one of the most interesting things to come out of this is that typically the problem that occurs with immersion into non-dual light in its complete form, what some people would say corresponds to the level of an arahant in Theravada Buddhism, is that getting the equilibrium right at all of the different levels of reality so your consciousness can rise completely up into this is kind of tricky. So tricky, in fact, that when most people do this, it's actually done accidentally. And because it's done accidentally, figuring out how to do it again is a little tricky. So, I'm not saying the 60 skills interpretation of Bardon's Kabbalah is the best way to achieve this ability, but it certainly appears to be the most repeatable, and so far it's worked for everybody who's tried it. Granted, the sample size is quite small, but better off than probably spending 10 years staring into the face of a cave. Now, the way we did this is, in my private practice group, we worked all the way through all 27 of Franz Bardon's letters at the vital level. We practiced them at all levels of reality, by the way, vital, astral, mental, and Akashic, but we worked through all 27 of those. That took about 6 months. After that, we started in on the planets, generally spending between 1 and 2 months apiece. Finally got to the zodiac, a month apiece, corresponding with their proper placement within the calendar year when we were doing this. Then we spent a month apiece on each of the Sephirot, with the exception of the meditations for Sirius, because once we got there, it appears we just didn't need to do that much work with it. Okay. So in total, we had to learn how to deal with 63 discrete forces and develop the ability to generate those upon command. That took a while. Honestly, it took about 4 years, because there were some breaks in between as people got tired or fell out or had to be replaced. That said, what did I learn from that experience? It was draining. I'm not going to lie to you, the last 4 years have been really tiring, as some of you who have watched the progression of my Santa Claus type beard and hair will notice. The outer planets, very strong Akashic forces, very draining. Got a bit of a break at the zodiac level. Those are generally very pleasant to work with for the most part. When we re-entered the Sephirot, once you got past Malkuth, it was pretty rough. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. It was the better part of a year working with Akashic forces on an almost daily basis. It was extremely draining, and the people in my private practice group had to deal with a variety of health problems. I put on a bunch of weight, as some of you have probably noticed from watching these videos, and I'm getting it off now. But what I'm getting at is the upward progression of using the letters or letter work or Franz Bardon's Kabbalah and the 60 skills interpretation of it is a lot of work. If you want that ability to fully project and non-dual light at will. It's hard, not easy. And was it worth it? Yeah. I mean, with this curriculum, you now have something that is every bit the equal, and in some ways, if I may say so, superior to things like the 8 limbs of Patanjali, aspects of the 6 yogas of Naropa, you name it. The West now has a complete system for spiritual progression that is spelled out clearly, where there's no mystery involved in how to go about doing it. The work is substantial, but what I would say is it probably could have been done in about half as much time. I'm not sure we really needed a month apiece on some of these forces. That said, how you would want to pursue that is absolutely going to be up to you. So that was the interesting part of that. There were a variety of physiological changes that went along with this. The magical potential of everyone skyrocketed, particularly after working with Doth and Sirius in the Sephirot series, which was a big surprise. There were some additional body-based practices that came up that were frighteningly similar to the advanced levels of Trollcore that I'd been informed about. So, pretty interesting stuff all the way around. Definitely worth pursuing. If I had to do it over again, the big changes would have been I would have paid much more attention to my fitness and diet. Because, as some of you know, when you're drained by heavy Akashic use over a long period of time, guys, you just get lazy. It gets hard to get things done. And I, being human, believe it or not, fell prey to this just the way everybody else does. So, save yourself from gaining 20 extra kilos and just keep an eye on your diet. All right, so what's next? Well, my private practice group, we have just started the path of manifestation. Some would call it the downward path. I don't really like that term, but it's been pretty interesting. The flows of energy pretty much slam into the ground now, and holding them at the higher levels is very difficult. That said, it makes sense as to why this would be, because quite simply, if you're going to manifest something, you need to do that. The big takeaway from this so far is that you need to work on your single pointed focus exercises a lot if you want to do things manifestation related. And I've talked about this before. Also, you learn how to move the manifestation of energy out of the body so that it's happening directly from the universe into that single point of focus. This seems to be a big part of this. Those practices are hard. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. Not the single point of focus stuff. We spend a lot of time doing that. But learning how to move energy directly from the universe without going through the body, pretty tricky. Very hard to do, but very potent. So in the beginning, you're going to be pretty tired working on that stuff. And of course, we'll provide you all the guidance you need along the way figuring that out. But ultimately, this has been interesting. because, as I talk about a lot on this channel, the doctrinal explanation for what you need to do isn't really that hard. So, it surprises me that more people don't make the attempt to do this. And, oh, by the way, if you have worked all the way up and all the way down, I'd love to hear from you just to compare notes. But that's what's going on right now with the Sephirot work, so it'll probably be about another year before we finish up with this part of the series and move back down into the zodiac. My suspicion is the path down will be much quicker than the path up, but I don't know that for sure, so you'll have to stay tuned to see how it goes. So, if you liked the content that we released today, please give us a like and consider subscribing. And if you want to learn more about the 60 skill system and what we're up to here, go to the text portion of the description block down below. Otherwise, as per usual, train hard and be well.